Hello, my name is Callie McGinnis, and I am a member of the Muscogee Genealogical Society. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about John H. Martin's History of Columbus, an important book that you need to know about if you're researching the history and/or genealogy of Columbus, Georgia. This video is brought to you by the Muscogee Genealogical Society as part of its series about Columbus, Georgia, history and genealogy. Here we have a cover of Martin's book. This is from a reprint done in 1972. The book actually came out in 1874. This presentation will talk about the book, discuss the role of secondary sources in genealogical research because the Martin book is a secondary source, describe the nature and design of the book and explain how Martin compiled it. And finally, I want to show you how to access the book online and use the information in the book for your research. But first, let's talk about the difference between a primary and a secondary source. In genealogy, we're always told that we must use primary sources. That's true, but secondary sources are also important. What is a primary source? Well, it's a document created at the time an event happens or close to the time that the event happens, and it acknowledges and verifies the event. Examples are death certificates, marriage certificates, census records. These are all primary sources. So, what is a secondary source? Well, it's a source that seeks to describe or interpret an event. Usually, it's written well after the event occurred, and normally it's a published book. Examples are county histories, biographies, abstracts, etc. So, why use secondary sources? Well, as I just said, it can interpret an event. Sometimes the author makes mistakes, but still, it is an interpretation. It can give you an overview of your subject and background information. Suppose your ancestor lived in Stewart County in 1850. You need to know what was going on in Stewart County in 1850. It can provide stories that are missing from records, census records, marriage records, etc. Suppose your great grandfather married a woman 10 years older than himself. How did that work out? Maybe you can find a story about it. And finally, a secondary source can lead you to other sources, hopefully primary sources. I do want to warn you about a few things, though. First of all, you need to consider who wrote the book. Did they know what they were talking about? And what is the nature of the book? Is it a memoir or did they try to do a detailed history? Was it published by a university press or was it self published? That can make a difference. And finally, are there footnotes and or a bibliography? This is the most important thing to make the book credible. You want to be able to go to other sources. So here we have a citation for the Martin book. It is the oldest published history of Columbus. It's got quite a title, a very wordy title. But what I would encourage you to remember is those first two words, Columbus, GEO. That is what I usually put in when I'm searching for the book in a Google search or an Ancestry card catalog search. That's very distinguishable because of the GEO. So who was John H. Martin? John Hawkins Martin was a newspaper man who came to Columbus in 1855. And while he was editor of the Columbus Daily Inquirer, he began compiling his history. How did he do that? Well, he worked in a newspaper office, so he had loads of back files in his office. There were some missing. I know that he got the 1835 and 36 papers from Macon, and he also did interviews with some of the older residents of Columbus. He wanted to talk to people who were around back in 1828 and the years following that. So here we have the title page of the book. Again, a very wordy title, as you can see. And the book is arranged year by year from 1827 to 1865. Each year has its own chapter, and within each chapter, the arrangement is general information, incidents, and then personal, including marriages and deaths. So here you have the beginning of the 1853 chapter with some general information at the beginning. As you can see, a list of city officers for the year 1853. Then we have incidents, including the fact that the taxable property in the city was over $1.5 million back in 1853. There was a big fire in February. And here's a special incident from 1853 where a little boy was killed in an accident when he was playing with a friend. The way they described things back in the 19th century, very graphic. The wire entered his forehead just above one eye and penetrated to his brain. And this young man, William, age 14, was the son of Judge Robert B. Alexander, whose house still sits on 2nd Avenue, right next to the downtown elementary school. Here's a section on marriages at the end of the 1853 chapter. I highlighted two marriages where two brothers married two sisters. Two Whittlesleys married two Sly girls, the Whittlesleys as in Whittlesey Boulevard in North Columbus, and the Sly family, who's very noted for their involvement in Columbus medical things. And then we have the deaths. Here on November the 10th was in 1843, the death of Major Thomas M. Nelson. Nelson had three daughters, all of whom married well. One married a druggist named Robert Carter, and Robert Carter donated his books and Major Nelson's books to the First Columbus Public Library. That was the beginning of their collection. So it has all this good stuff in it. Now, where can you find a copy of Martin's book? Well, the print version is at the Columbus Public Library Genealogy Room and at the CSU Archives. At the time this presentation is being filmed, we are in the midst of a pandemic, so you would have to call those places to make sure it was okay for you to come in and look at the books. But luckily, we have the digital version. Martin's book is available at 4 sites, maybe more. Ancestry, which you have to pay to access, but the other 3, Google Books, Family Search, and Galileo, are all free resources. To search inside the book, I am recommending that you use Ancestry if you are a member of Ancestry. And if you're not a member, I would suggest you use Google Books, the downloadable version. I found that Family Search and Galileo are not quite as reliable, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't search them. I want to go over quickly how to use the Ancestry version. Again, if you're a member, you go to the search screen up at the top and you'll get a drop-down menu, choose Card Catalog. Number 2, when you get to the card catalog, then you will type in a keyword or a title on the side. At the bottom, you see I've typed in Columbus GEO. And this is what I get. I get the card catalog entry for the book. I click on the title, and then the second piece at the bottom is a search screen that comes up that allows me to search within that book. And you see the space where I can type in first name, middle name, and last name. So I go to that search screen and I'm typing in the name Cornelius, just one name, not a last name. And I see by the results, I have 4 results. The second result is our Cornelius S. Whittlesey rather. So this is a very efficient way to do a search if you're a member of Ancestry. And here's what you get when you pull up that entry. Again, it is the same thing we saw at the beginning of the slideshow. So if you don't have Ancestry, You should probably use the Google Books version. And you should go to google.com and search for John H. Martin Columbus GEO and pull up the Google Books entry for that result. Here's what the entry looks like. And you do have the option of reading it for free or downloading it. I've crossed through read for free because you need to download it to get the best um, results search, the more accurate search results, rather. So I'm going to download the book. I have to put in a code, or I have to decipher some very hard to read letters. But once I do that, I get into the book and I'm taken to the text. I do a control find, which is how you search within a downloaded text. I searched for Cornelius, and again, you can see at the top of the screen, I got 4 hits. This is the first of 4. To navigate through those 4 hits, I use the up and down arrows over at the right side of the screen. And that's it for the John H. Martin History of Columbus book. Where to find it online, how to use it, and I hope that that you will go find a copy and look up your Columbus ancestors in the book. Thank you.